In a secluded valley, a young man dressed in black encounters a peculiar creature at the edge of a small stream. It was a black beetle with a shiny metallic luster, similar to a mixture of a crab and a beetle. The young man moved quickly as he deftly severed the beetle's struggling claws, revealing the soft, juicy flesh inside. He swallowed the meat without hesitation, just like a crab, and ate all the parts with the shell as well. When he finished eating, a voice echoed in his head, telling him that he had obtained 0 gene points from the black beetle. Disappointed, the young man named Han Sen checked his status and found that he still needed 100 gene points to evolve. More than a century had passed since humans had discovered a new world through space teleportation. This world was called God's Holy Land and was unimaginably different from the human world. Scientific and technological advances have become worthless, as only the most primitive combat techniques and ancient martial arts have proven effective. Mythical creatures roamed this world, overwhelming the humans who once dominated the food chain. However, when humans began to eat the flesh of these creatures, they underwent an inexplicable transformation, and their bodies evolved rapidly. The more they evolved, the longer they lived. This newfound knowledge excited humans, as they realized that with continued evolution, it might be possible to live forever. Hansen was frustrated with his progress. He entered God's Holy Land after completing his compulsory education with only basic martial arts skills. The beast soul could further improve human abilities, but the price tag was far beyond his capabilities. Unable to rely on advanced technology or weapons, Han Sen could only evolve by hunting and devouring low-level creatures. But as he consumed more and more flesh from low-level creatures, Han Sen found that his evolutionary progress was getting slower and slower. He realized he had to risk hunting higher-level creatures to continue his evolution. On this day, Han Sen was considering his next move when he spotted a creature crawling out of the creek. The creature looked similar to a black beetle, but its golden body fascinated him. Its shiny shell resembled a sculpture made of gold, and its eyes glittered like precious gems. Driven by curiosity, Han Sen looked closely at the creature. To his surprise, the beetle came toward him, unlike any beetle he had ever encountered before. The beetle's eyesight was poor, but its sense of hearing was keen. Han Sen held his breath and didn't move a muscle, and as the beetle crawled closer, he quickly cut off its 6 retractable claws with his dagger. The golden black beetle struggled and rolled over. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Han Sen stabbed the dagger into a white mark on its stomach and then spun it violently. The golden black beetle stopped moving. To his surprise, a voice suddenly appeared in his mind. Sacred blood creature black beetle killed. Beast soul of sacred blood black beetle gained. Eat the flesh of sacred blood black beetle to gain 0 to 10 geno points randomly. Han Sen was shocked by the voice that suddenly came from his mind, and he could hardly believe the existence of sacred bloodline creatures and beast souls. He had learnt that the creatures in God's holy city were divided into ordinary creatures, primitive creatures, mutated creatures, and sacred bloodline creatures, and that by eating the flesh of different types of creatures, they gained different gene points, which in turn strengthened their abilities. In the process of evolution, completing a physical evolution leads to the next area, and the strength of the gene points determines the possibility of survival in the next area. Divine bloodline beast souls were undoubtedly one of the best beast souls, and each one could be sold for a sky-high price. Han Sen accepted this reality almost incredulously, but at the same time felt an overwhelming sense of excitement and opportunity. He picked up his dagger and pried open the black beetle's armor, filling his mouth with the tender flesh. He almost shed a tear as he felt the flesh transform into energy and the sound in his head. He continued to eat the flesh of the black beetle, gaining 7 sacred gene points beyond his wildest dreams. He realized that his chance had come, and that he could potentially change his destiny if he could only use the resources at his disposal. However, on his way back to Steel-clad City, he was ridiculed and looked down upon by those around him. He was nicknamed the Ass Freak and became the laughingstock of the entire holy city, and no one wanted to associate with him. In the midst of his hardship, Han Sen did not give up. He realized that entering God's holy city was not an easy task, and that he needed to overcome challenges and prove his worth. This was because of a previous embarrassing incident related to Qin Xuan, who was a strong woman in the steel armor fortress. That was why Han Sen had such a difficult time, but he didn't really blame Qin Xuan. It was his fault in the first place. He had been too nervous when he first came to the Holy Land of God. Plus, he had not seen the creature in his previous world and had attacked the monster's buttocks without knowing that the creature was a change of Qin Xuan, which had led him to make an unforgivable mistake. Despite his difficult situation, Han Sen took responsibility for his actions and thanked Qin Xuan for not hurting him. The only fortunate thing was that the teleportation into God's Holy Land was always random, and there were no acquaintances in the steel-armored shelter, so no one knew his real name. Han Sen returned to his room and began to boil the black beetle's shell to extract the essence of the geno. As he waited, he noticed a dying green-scaled beast in the cage. Remembering that he had once fed on these creatures for gene points, Han Sen decided to feed the black crystal to the dying beast. To his surprise, the green-scaled beast rejuvenated and broke out of its cage, showing more strength and aggressiveness. Han Sen killed the evolved beast and gained a sacred gene point. This discovery excited Han Sen, as he realized that the crystal had the ability to make creatures evolve. Han Sen pondered the possibility of the green-scaled beast becoming a holy-blooded creature if he was given enough time. He was curious and amazed at the potential of the crystal. Nearly 24 hours later, Han Sen noticed that the black beetle's soup had turned golden and the broth smelled delicious. He was about to drink a bowl of soup when he heard the sound of the green-scaled beast breaking free from its cage. Its scales turned black, its teeth became sharp, and its claws became like iron hooks. The beast was on the verge of escaping. In his hasty state, Han Sen stabbed the green-scaled beast to prevent it from escaping. He realized that the crystal not only had the ability to evolve creatures, it could also increase their strength and abilities. The voice of the strange system informed Han Sen that he had not obtained any beast souls from the original green-scale beast. Reflecting on the crystal's power, Han Sen realized that this was indeed the reason why the black beetle had evolved into a holy-blooded creature. He appreciated the significance of his discovery and the great potential it held. Checking his profile, Han Sen found that he had acquired the beast soul of a sacred blood black beetle, and its shell was an armor. His excitement was overwhelming as he considered the armor's appearance and function. He imagined it to be more impressive than the original beast soul armor he had seen before. Suddenly, a golden liquid wrapped around Han Sen's body and transformed into a suit of armor. The armor was streamlined, powerful, and emitted a metallic sheen. It covered his entire body, making him look slim and majestic, something he had always admired but never wanted to obtain. After putting on the armor, Han Sen felt light and energetic, without any sense of heaviness or clumsiness. He was truly overwhelmed by its beauty and power. The armor resembles Gothic medieval armor, with improved aerodynamic properties, reminiscent of the golden cloth worn by golden saints. In a virtual world filled with extraordinary abilities and achievements, Yate Group President Zhao Yalong has accomplished the third evolution and entered the fourth God Sanctuary, becoming the 83rd person in history to reach this level. With a lifespan of 500 years and the status of a demigod, he has achieved great power and prestige. Meanwhile, a young prodigy named Langa from the Rykot galaxy has entered the second God Sanctuary. With 100 mutation geno points, his lifespan has reached 300 years, and he has earned the title of an evolver. In a momentous event, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Hemingway, has slain a demigod creature from the ocean. This impressive feat marks him as the first person to achieve such a victory. According to authoritative experts, it is predicted that within the next decade, someone will complete the fourth evolution for the first time and advance into the fifth God Sanctuary. This advancement would signify a major milestone in the evolutionary process. Amidst these extraordinary achievements and discussions, our protagonist, Han Sen, finds himself in a different reality. After teleporting from the steel armor shelter, he overhears a family dispute over inheritance. Han Sen's mother, Luo Sulan, is being pressured by her late husband's siblings to divide the family's old house and assets. The siblings argue that the old house is a shared inheritance and should be divided among them. They propose selling the house and splitting the proceeds equally among the three households. Han Sen's mother pleads that they are unable to afford such a sum and emphasizes the difficulties they face in raising Han Sen and Han Yan. Han Sen is overcome with anger as he listens to his relatives' selfish demands. He highlights their past financial troubles and his father's assistance, mentioning how his aunt caused bad debts. His uncle embezzled company funds, and another uncle had gambling debts. He also points out that they skipped his father's funeral and sold the family business without sharing the proceeds. Feeling betrayed and defending his father's legacy, Han Sen confronts his relatives, denouncing their sense of entitlement and hypocrisy. He questions their actions, asking why they took care of their own interests but neglected their parents and their responsibilities within the family. The tensions escalate, with the relatives asserting their rights and threatening legal action. Han Sen reflects on the irony of the situation, as his father always advocated for unity and emphasized their familial bond. Despite his anger, Han Sen acknowledges that if his relatives genuinely needed the money, he would have been willing to help. However, their luxurious lifestyles and apparent wealth contradict their claims of financial hardship. This poignant family dispute highlights the complexities of relationships and the conflicts that can arise when personal interests clash with familial obligations. Han Sen's frustration stems from his father's sacrifices and the subsequent mistreatment of his family by those he had supported. Han Sen's family faces an ultimatum from Han Yume and Han Lei. They must come up with money to pay off a debt or sell their house within a month or face a lawsuit. Han Sen's mother, Luo Sulan, is distraught by the situation. Han Sen assures her that he will find a solution and contacts his father's friend, Mr. Zhang, for legal advice. Han Sen learns that his relatives do have a legitimate claim to part of the house, and if they were to go to court, they would likely win. Determined to save the house, Han Sen enters the god's sanctuary and returns to his room at the steel armor shelter. He realizes that he needs to come up with $2 million within a month. Hoping to earn the money, Han Sen decides to catch and evolve a primitive creature. He sets his sights on the swift mantis, a fast and dangerous creature found in Zephyr Valley. With his newly acquired sacred blood beast soul armor, Han Sen feels confident that he can defeat the swift mantis and sell its evolved flesh for a large sum of money. Although few people hunt swift mantises due to their speed and dangerous forelegs, Han Sen believes it is his best option. He plans to disable the creature by cutting off its claws and wings, then use the black crystal to make it evolve into a mutant creature. With luck, Han Sen may even acquire a valuable beast soul, such as the swift jagged blade. As Han Sen approaches Zephyr Valley, he encounters fewer people, and the valley is devoid of human activity. He proceeds cautiously, using the sacred blood black beetle beast soul for camouflage. The tall grass and trees in the valley make it difficult to spot any hidden swift mantises, and Han Sen must be careful to avoid their attacks. With determination and his newfound power, Han Sen is ready to face the challenges of hunting the swift mantis and earning the money needed to save his family's home.